Picture this. You're starting your healing journey. You want to go see a therapist. But when you try to book one, they only have openings in the middle of your workday. You're working 9 to 5. When do you have the time to go? Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to settle anymore. So when it comes to finding the right doctor with ZocDoc, you've got options. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality, in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/lovely to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/lovely, ZocDoc.com/lovely.
Vitamin water was born in New York because New Yorkers wanted more flavor to pair with all the amazing food in the city. You can have the best meal in the world here, if you can get a reservation. Vitamin water is so New York. Its 3 favorite cheeses are chopped cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese, and a slice of cheese pizza. We know where to get the best sushi in the city, and best nachos, and best bagels, and best... You get it. And you can find food trucks better than 5-star restaurants. Drink Vitamin water. It's from New York.
This episode contains discussions of rape and sexual assault. Please take care while listening and feel free to skip this episode if the content may be distressing. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lovely. Happy Friday. I hope your week has been kind to you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Last week's episode with Waleed, my best friend, was a refreshing one. We talked about non-traditional relationship setups, and I know for some people that probably raised an eyebrow. And I think that's kind of the beauty of this world, right? Like, not everyone has to live the same way. Not everyone has to love the same way. I'm a big believer in choosing peace over pressure, choosing your nervous system over performative milestones that society has often pressured you to follow. And that's what we're leaning into. And that's also the main purpose of this podcast, is to have an open space for conversations that don't always follow the script. Which brings me to today's episode. I want to talk about a topic which is misogyny and double standards, especially in South Asian culture. I have experienced it firsthand. A lot of my friends have experienced it firsthand. And I would say that it's not just cultural, but it's been happening for generations. And I think it's structural, right? It's ingrained. It's passed down loudly, in silence, in rules and expectations that are sometimes never really explained, but always enforced. Like, why was my brother allowed to do certain things and live a certain lifestyle that I wasn't able to do? And, it was okay for him, but like, don't get caught. But it was never okay for me because it would bring shame upon the family. And I think the wildest part is we still see it today, whether it's in a friend group setting, it's in dating, it's in families, it's in the work environment, and also within people that pride themselves on being progressive. I really wanted to have someone on the podcast today who's been speaking up about this in a way that is honest, informed, and really needed in today's day and age. So today's guest is Srijan Makkena. He is a psych student, a content creator, and someone who calls out misogyny and gender double standards, especially among South Asian men. Srijan, welcome to Lovely. I'm so glad you're here. How are you?
Good. You made a lot of valid points, whether it was in your intro starting off with how you say we all love in different ways and are very unique. And you raised a very good point about just misogyny. It's rampant. It's everywhere. And I feel like it's either ignored or it's normalized. It's never really talked about in a critical way where we actually hold people accountable, whether it's women or men, for this system that they just kind of upheld and, reinforced through generations. Like you've said, this is not something new. This has been the norm for such a long time. And I would say one thing when I question it, one of the biggest things I notice is a lot of people that are ignorant, they will label me as a pick me, which brings me to my first thing I've noticed whenever we talk about things that are kind of labeled as like controversial or sensitive topics is I think men cannot fathom that somebody or just people in general cannot fathom that you would do something out of the kindness in your heart to bring awareness to something without having an incentive or getting something in return for it. Like, I feel like a lot of people think I do this for attention or I do this for female validation or, something like that. But it's not really like that. And it shows. And I think the biggest thing which breaks my heart about this is that it is young men. It is like the youngest of young men, middle schoolers, high schoolers, people younger than me that are so bigoted and hated and have such hatred towards women. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I post and will continue to post.
That's why I'm so glad I'm having this conversation with you. And I think you touched upon something that we're definitely going to talk about later is the ownership and responsibility to change this doesn't only fall under one group, right? Like it falls under women, men, family, society, like everyone as a whole. It's so deeply rooted within all of us that it's going to be a long time till we see change. But the only way to see change is first bring awareness to it and then figure out how do we move forward. But I think a lot of this also stems from the day you're born. And that kind of leads me into my first thing that I want to know about you is what is your connection to immigrant identity? How were you raised? Like, what did you see in your own household that maybe plays out in life now?
When it comes to identity, if there was a spectrum, and I know kids our age and my age, especially just people in our generation, they love to say either whitewashed is one end of the spectrum and then fob is like the other end of the spectrum. And I would definitely say I'm more leaning towards that word. And I feel like people use it as an insult or almost like a slur, but I am very, very rooted. I am South Indian. My parents came from both Telugu speaking states. So I live Telugu. I breathe Telugu. I love everything that is Telugu. But at the same time, whether it's the Telugu people here or when I go back home and visit, misogyny and just bigoted behavior of all sorts is rampant. And the sad part is when you grow up in a place like that, it doesn't have to be the most extreme. Like I wouldn't say my parents and mom, dad, it wasn't like straight up, they'd be like, I hate this person or this or that, but it would be like microaggressive stuff or some small things. I have a younger sister. It would be like, yeah, so Anneya means older brother in our language. My mom would be like, Anneya can do this because he's this, but you can't do this. She's 6 years younger than me. And I didn't pick up on it then, but as I've gotten older, I look back with introspection and retrospect and I'm like, damn, it really do be the own people that you know. And also it makes you realize that everything you've been told, if you just follow it without questioning and just accept it as it is, you'll realize that a lot of these things we do are like that, but they are not necessarily good or true. So I'm not disassociating from where I came or my roots, but I do like to call it out. And I feel like people sometimes think like if you're calling it out, you hate yourself or you're self-hating yourself. But I don't think that's part of our culture, but it definitely is. Like people try to like say it's not, but that is part of our culture and that's something we need to address.
Totally. And I'm getting like PTSD from just that example alone. And I know we are calling it a micro example of misogyny, but I have an older brother, 2 years older. And again, I want to say that I'm Pakistani. I love my parents. I think they did a great job raising my brother and I, but they were also doing it for the first time. And again, it's structural, it's passed down. So they were following what they felt was right. Growing up, I couldn't go out even with my girlfriends. I could not do sleepovers. I could not go out for dinners, but my brother could do that. And it was never explained to me why I couldn't do it. And if I talked back asking the reason, it was, oh, we're not your friends. You can't talk to us like that. You can't have an attitude. You can't do this. And that shows up now sometimes when I don't question other people talking back to me when I know that they're wrong. Or it kind of teaches you not to take up space, but like, why shouldn't you take up space? But I want to go back to your experience. I guess growing up, What did you feel was praised or encouraged when it came to being a man? Did those types of things kind of spill into how you saw yourself as a gender traditional role of being a man when it came to being in relationships?
Definitely. I think, first off, what definitely gets praised in being a man and being the man is it's like emotionless. Okay, you're not allowed to express emotions because if you express emotions, that is weak. But then it reduces it to the sense that the only emotion you're truly not allowed to express is sadness or grief or crying, the act of crying. So then it flips onto the opposite side of the spectrum, which is the easiest emotion to express, I feel like anger. I feel like there's so much rage, and there was so much rage in me and just men in general, which is why we see a lot of this committing violence against women. And this is why a lot of these people like the Andrew Tates of the world, these guys that get a podcast mic and start talking and influencing all these guys, make them say, women are nothing, you're a man, you need to provide, you need to be emotionless, you need to be stoic.
You show me a man who wakes up and says he wants to be happy himself, I'll show you a bitch.
So I would definitely say taking up space, being emotionless, being confident, being assertive, all of these which are very punishable when seen in women, which is another double standard. Women are not allowed to do any of this. Like if a woman is confident, it's arrogance, but a man needs to be confident. So it's like, yeah, it's very frustrating. And I think what guys don't realize with my videos is I call out the patriarchy and they feel like I'm a self-hating man, but I don't think we understand just how much. I definitely think the patriarchy and the system has affected women a lot more in a negative way, but it's definitely affected men as well. And I feel like they fail to realize that because they think the system works. Like just because we're scrapping by does not mean this is the best system to operate in. And I think the biggest thing is the suicide rates with men. I think that's what it ties back to. And just, we all want to love each other and respect each other. Like these divorces, domestic abuse, marital rape, like so much of this, I think stems from that main thing where men are not allowed to express their emotion because that is seen as a sign of weakness.
Yeah, and you're right. Like we've heard the narrative where women do suffer from this, but it's also men because I think it takes away an actual connection that they can have with someone. Because in order to have a connection, you need to be vulnerable, and they've been taught that in order to be vulnerable, you need to express these emotions of sadness and honesty and empathy, and that has always been told that shows up as weakness. So totally, I think it is a disservice to both genders. Can you take me back to the exact point where maybe you were having double standards and you were maybe showing up as misogynist, right? And you stopped yourself?
So I think during quarantine, I think that is definitely when Andrew Tate and people like him, especially him, peaked. And I was in high school at this time, so I was very susceptible. The prefrontal cortex, none of this was developed. And it was like watching those things, it's like they give you a reason. They give you like somebody to place all your hatred. And I know we talk about like incel culture and men that cannot, date women because there's such a rise in single women because men really don't know how to treat women right and actually be a loving partner rather than trying to like control a woman in a relationship. Exact story, I think, I'm trying to think like, definitely, I would think one thing that definitely was ingrained in my head was depending on what a woman wears, that is something that you can like judge a woman based on what she wears. And this is like a 16-year-old thinking. And I think that was definitely like the first thing I realized. And I was like, but wait a minute. Because they use that to like justify trigger warning, rape. They'll be like, what was she wearing or this or that? And then I realized there could be a girl in a diaper. There could be a girl with a burqa on, and it does not matter. And okay, this is the thing that gets me is that we men are so quick to judge what women wear, but they'll go back home and these are the people that are consuming stuff like porn. Like it does not make sense to me at all. But in those moments, it's like those type of things, that content, like Andrew Tate, it makes you feel like the problem's not with men, it's with women. And like these are all the things that are wrong with women, and you should follow this, and you should go to the gym like me, you should start a business like me, college doesn't mean anything. Like it's very stupid things when you look back on it, but in that moment it feels like wow. And this is especially before I really ever had a relationship in my life, so I had nothing to operate with up here, really no real experience, just the internet, which is one of the worst things I think that can happen to men these days.
This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. From daily routines to life-changing adventures, the Toyota Grand Highlander is spacious, powerful, and ready to take on life's grand challenges. Advanced safety features and innovative technology give you confidence for whatever life throws at you. And it's available in a hybrid Nightshade Special Edition, which includes sophisticated gloss black exterior accents and 20-inch black alloy wheels. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
Whenever I hear about stories about rape and sexual assault, it boils my blood when so many people are still the one question that is first, maybe they won't say it, but I know they're thinking it. Well, what was she doing? Was she drunk? What was she wearing? It's like, how did we get to this point where that is the first question or that is the first thought that you have instead of holding the person that has done the inhumane thing accountable? I think you specifically spoke out about it, how this happens in where you're from or in certain parts of the world in South Asia. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
To share from personal experience, I'm also a victim of childhood sexual assault. Like I am a victim, so this also holds a very close, near and dear place to my heart. I will say, of course, I am over and I'm healed with that. But growing up in that environment, necessarily like for women, when it's like, oh, what were you wearing? What were you doing? For me, it was like, and I was 8 at the time, so I did not know what was happening. But it was more of like, how did this happen to you? Like, how did you let this happen to you? I think when it's with a man, it's either like, if you're older, it's like, oh, maybe it was an accident, maybe you liked it, or it was like, well, how did you let this happen to you? Like, what were you doing? You know? It's very painful because, like we were talking about earlier, like you try to kind of control or protect your daughter, protect the girls in your life from the world. Where when we talk about women that have been raped or like, oh, women violence is being committed against women, we're completely ignoring the people that are committing these acts against women. I think we're making it a woman's issue rather than, like we're solely focusing on what victims have been through rather than trying to tackle the perpetrators and address the root of this cause. Like it feels like, oh, we're going to keep our woman in because she goes out in the night, then it's unsafe. But why is it unsafe? Women should be able to walk alone at the night. Women should be able to go to the bar. Women should be able to drink, and women should be able to wear whatever they want. But it's all about control instead of addressing, which is the biggest problem, I think. That's the main thing. Like anytime, like it boils my blood too, whether I'm in a family gathering or I hear people talking about this. I remember one time my friend's friend that was sexually assaulted at a frat party or something, and nobody believed her. And then when I was telling people, like older people in the community, like aunties and uncles, they're like, "Oh, well, what was she wearing? Like, we know what they be wearing at these parties. Like, what does that?" It's just like, what does that have to do? What does that have to do with anything?
Literally. And it's like when people are like, oh, you're dressing a certain way for men. I'm like, you know, if men didn't exist, what I would be wearing? You said a few things, and I'm really sorry to hear that is what you went through. Because when it happens and you're that young, you don't realize that it's happened and you don't realize that it's wrong. When did you realize that this happened, and when did you decide to like speak up about it if you're comfortable sharing this?
This is something that affected me. So it happened when I was 8. And I really think I fully gained consciousness when I was around 18. It hit me like, I like to say, and it is sad to think about in retrospect, but like 8 to 18, it really felt like I wasn't living. It really felt like just a blur. Like I kind of felt like a headless chicken. I was living with no purpose. Like I was very, especially as I got into my later teenage years, I was very sad, I wouldn't say depressed because I don't like to throw that word around lightly, but I had feelings of, self-harm. But I was 18, and I will say this is something I've noticed in a lot of, especially childhood, like a lot of people that have been, sexually assaulted or raped, that triggers like something in them. I've seen 2 spectrums. I've done a lot of research on this because it's something that's happened to me, but either like you are very reserved, you stay away from all sorts of sexual activities, or you become like hyper indulged in things like that. And so for me, I I like to think of myself like, I mean, I was a kid. Okay. I was innocent at that time, but I will say that triggered like a hyperindulgence in these acts. And like what happened to me was like, it was a one-sided thing. And that like skewed my view on how like intimacy or sexual intercourse should be. And that led me down like a rabbit hole that I was very disappointed when I came to that, like, and I realized like, A goes to B to C, not because there's no connection. Like everything is connected. Like I realized the way I am because of all this like trauma and all these things that happened to me. And that really broke me down. This is a core memory of mine. I was 18. I think we were at a hotel. We went out to like a gem show. My mom wanted to get some jewelry. I know South Asian moms love their gold. So, and I was sitting in the lobby with my sister. And in that moment, I kind of had a realization. And my sister was 12 at the time. So she was 6 years younger. But I told her because it was never a safe space to really talk about feelings or be like, I'm sad or this or that. So I told her everything. Like I told her, this is what's happened to me. It's terrible. It's messed up, everything. And she just broke down and started crying. And then I started crying. And she was like, my older brother, to think my older brother has went through something like this and is able to keep that face on and just be such a like strong, independent individual is amazing. And then later that day, when we got into the car, I kind of really came clean to my parents about it. Because, of course, my parents knew. So, long story short.
They did? Was it someone close to you?
So, one was a cousin. And then the second time was a friend on the bus. So, and that was dealt with accordingly. And they never really, I don't think they understood just how much it can affect somebody because I don't think, obviously, it's a lot easier to understand something when you experience it firsthand. But in that moment, when I came clean to them and told them, like, this has effed me up, they were like, okay. They looked back, like, they were very sad. They didn't know, like, it had taken a toll on me to this level. They were like, I'm sorry, Srijan. It was crazy. Like, I think that's the most emotional I've seen my dad at that time. But now I've seen him, like, cry and stuff now. But that was one of those moments like that. That was a turning point for me. And since then, it's really been up for me. That was in my senior year of high school. And I came to college and now I'm here. That was the moment of really the breakthrough for me to really kind of get my confidence up, really voice my thoughts and try to really strive for real change in the world because I know what it feels like to have nobody for you. I know what it feels like to want to end it all, just hopelessness. And I don't want anybody to go through that. And I know through my videos, I've had a lot of messages, anything they say, this really helps. And even one person telling me that is enough for me to just keep on going till I die. So when I have like a downpour of everybody telling me that, it's like, I'm not going to stop. And I think I really want to leave a mark on this world.
I'm so grateful that we have someone like you speaking out on this because I think more conversations need to be had. And again, I'm really, really sorry that you had to go through that. How is the dynamic now in your family? Like, has this maybe been a little bit of a catalyst? Yes, it's a catalyst for you to speak out and really, call yourself out and call others out. But in terms of your parents, have they shifted their behavior a little bit as well?
When people feel like change is hopeless or change in our parents is like not possible, I will say, and this is something all of my friends say about my parents, they don't look at my parents like a stereotypical Indian parents. They say like your parents are borderline white in the sense that they're so chill, so understanding. I like to think as I got older, I kind of leveled up, and same with them. They're living life for the first time. And I think the truth is, there was always a fear, like if you talk back to them, whether you get disciplined or stuff like that. But I took that first step forward. I had that trust in them. I'm like, you tell me you love me all the time, or you tell me you care about me. So let me express how I feel, regardless of whatever you were brought up in and your beliefs around it. And I think me doing those steps and being very outspoken about what I believe in and what I've been through has also triggered change in them. It was a catalyst for them. Now my dad, mom, very progressive, very understanding. I know it's hard. It's very scary. I know I'm sure some of the people's parents might be way stricter than mine to even have that courage to speak up against them. But I think it's like a lot of things, like whether it's revolution, like anytime we want freedom, whether we look at any movement, you need to speak up. And the fear is there, but you know what's worse? Just living with that. Just believe in yourself and believe in your parents. Like that's what I did. And they've had a complete 360 in a sense. I'm not going to say to begin with, they were never as bad as I've seen with some of the other brown parents in my community and just in general, but they were never as bigoted, anything like that. It was more micro. But now I'm very proud of them. And I know they can say the same for me.
It's really brave of you to talk about this, and also admirable that your parents were able to be there for you and, support you through this. You mentioned you are in a relationship now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been in a relationship for?
To really encompass this and really talk about it and for people to get a bigger picture is, I think I've only ever had, I've had one talking stage when I was a senior in high school. It was for a few months, and then I had a girlfriend, a long-term girlfriend, for the first year and a half of college, and I had a breakup recently, I think like a few months ago. And then my girlfriend currently, who I'm with now, I met her a few months ago, and we've been together for 2 months now. And I will say, I never thought love like this could come out from me, and I never thought I would be able to find somebody that I could truly love how I always wanted to love somebody. I think I finally really let go of outside perceptions and people saying things like, oh, this is a honeymoon phase. Like, that's one thing I think might be controversial. I don't think the honeymoon phase is a thing that should be a thing. Like, I think it's terrible that it's normalized, that we eventually, inevitably will lose feelings and affection for somebody. And that's a period, like, and this girl has really let me do all of that. Like, I feel like my love is like a cinema love that you've seen like a Bollywood, or like I'm very happy. And I never thought I could feel this way. And I had given up on love and like stuff like marriage, and it, like, I really felt hopeless after my last long relationship. And she has really made me complete again. And I'm blessed.
It warms my soul to hear that, you have found someone that you are so excited about. And I want to know from you, when you say you never thought you would experience a love like this, what does a love like this look like? Give me an example.
I guess to say what the love looks like, I guess I have to talk about what it was like before and what I thought would be the norm. And in this day and age, as much as terrible as it sounds, I feel like girls really like guys for their personality and the way they make them feel. And guys really like girls for just the way they look and how attractive they are initially. And then they're like, oh, okay, she's nice, or she's this or that. And I had been conditioned to that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I never, the reason I would interact or talk to all my serious, like, talking stages was because I found them attractive initially and whatnot. And then now my current girlfriend, and it's funny, we sat down, we played a game together, and we were just sitting in a call talking for hours. And she really felt like a friend, like a best friend, a breath of fresh air is what I like to call her. That's what I told her. The first compliment I ever gave her was that. And it was just so refreshing. Like, I never thought like I could just really look at somebody for who they are and be so in love with the person that they are, rather than just, looking at a lot of superficial things. Like, I'm a firm believer of unconditional love. And I realized, like, I really, despite all my relationships, I really wasn't in unconditional love, because a lot of times when I would think or somebody would ask, it was often citing reasons. And when you cite a reason for love, or like, oh, that's when you realize it's conditional. And when I think about it now, people ask me, like, why do you have such immense love for her? Like, my entire feed is like love coded. My stories are always about love. Like, it just is. Like, if somebody asks me why, I can't say why, but I just know I have immeasurable love for her. And I never thought it would find me. And like you say, the examples, I think just that feeling, I feel so happy and proud of myself to think that this is something that could happen. Like, I never believed in a day and age where it's hookup culture is so prevalent, divorce rates are so high, it's so normalized to be talking to multiple people, cheating, like, just stuff like this, attraction. Like, I never thought, and of course, don't get me wrong, she's beautiful, a model, but it's insane. It's insane to be this in love and so wholesome. Like, I never thought I always wanted to be like this, but I never thought I had it in me, or I never thought I could find something like this.
Love it. Love it. Framed, laminated, hung up on my wall. Thank you so much. I really appreciated our chat today.
Thank you, Mehak, for having me on.
Lovely is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by me, Mehak. Music, sound design, and editing by Lou Raskin. Other music is by Epidemic Sound. Tune in every Friday for more Lovely.